It's time for The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome into The Frangie Show. Frank on vacation this week, but he will be back on Monday. But Hacker is with us again today. It's great to see you. How are you?
Hayes, I'm good, buddy. I know you've been busy today down at the Miller Electric Center earlier. We got a lot to talk about there.
We do. We will get into everything Mark Lamping had to share with us, and we'll play some sound in our third segment, let you hear directly from Mark. But yeah, we've certainly got a lot to react to in terms of President Mark Lamping of the Jaguars updating the progress of the stadium, certainly the 2026 schedule, which we now know features 2 home games that will be played in London. Again, limited capacity here in Jacksonville this season. So, yeah, lots to get to there. We've got JJ LaSelva, and JJ is big win last night for the Canes.
Yes, they beat Florida State in basketball.
That's
I saw
right.
that.
Jay Lucas. I was thinking about this. If we were talking with Mark Long yesterday, like if Golden leaves, then you start to, okay, well, who would Florida, and you don't want to be in this situation, obviously, Gator fans. I know that. We're going to talk a lot about Florida's game at Texas tonight as the show progresses. But Jay Lucas is somebody that would be on my list if Todd Golden did walk away this offseason.
Didn't he play at Florida?
He
Or
committed to Florida,
Okay.
but then I think he played at Duke.
Okay.
Yes, he was committed to Florida. But boy, I watched a pretty good bit of that game last night. And in Miami in general this season, I mean, they are having a nice year.
They're 22-6.
Nice year.
It's pretty good.
They're fighting for like the double bye in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, they should be a lock at this point. Florida State was playing good, too.
Yeah,
I mean they don't
that's
have a
a
great
nice
record,
win.
but the last month or so, they've had good wins.
Yep, and Florida State had beaten them in the first meeting, and it was in tally. So, yeah, Jay Lou. I mean, again, if the last thing you want as a Florida fan is to have to come up with a coaching hot
Your
board,
wish list?
yeah, for your basketball team, but you have to face the reality of it, and it does appear like you have an absolute superstar in Todd Golden, and it does make you wonder how long it's going to be until he gets an offer either like from the NBA or from a college basketball power that's going to spend way more of their rev share in NIL on basketball than they would football. So anyway, just something to throw out there. Jay Lucas may be a guy to keep an eye on.
If Golden wins one more national title, but with that, you're going to lose him in 5 years, would you take that deal?
Absolutely.
As you would. So
if you told me I'm going to get a second national title with Todd Golden, but he'll leave in 5 years?
But you lose Golden within 5 years.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Would you?
I probably would. I wouldn't be as I would probably be a little more hesitant than you were. But yeah, ultimately, if you win another national championship and Golden leaves in 5 years, I would probably take that trade-off.
I mean, think about that. That would give them 4 national championships in basketball since 2005.
Yeah.
I mean, that is remarkable.
We always talk about, is Florida a blue blood? I'm pretty sure they're a blue blood already. And if they're not, one more national title would absolutely cement that. And I got to tell you, I know we're going to get into this later. I mean, they got 4 regular season games left, maybe as many as 3 conference tournament games, and then obviously the NCAA tournament. It's not far-fetched to say Florida could repeat. I mean, as we talked about yesterday, there's 8 teams, maybe no more than 10 certainly, that are going to win the national championship in college basketball, and the Gators are absolutely among that pile.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tonight's game, by the way, like I said, we're going to break it down later in the show, but it should be outstanding if you love offense, because Texas is sort of like a poor man's Alabama. Great on offense, but they're even worse than Alabama is defensively by a pretty good margin. So I would think Florida's got even though it's a road game, got a really good chance to get close to 100, if not surpass it tonight. The question is, will they be able to hold Texas to a reasonable enough number to get the win in Austin? Let's set the scene for you because we got a great show ahead. Brett Hastings is going to join us in our next segment for Sports and Courts. Brett's got a really interesting topic today. So there's this lawsuit that is, I think Meta is the major company in it, Facebook, Meta, whatever they call themselves now. And the lawsuit deals with addiction to social media. That's the grievance in the case. The plaintiff is saying that she has like bad body image and has had a bad life because she got addicted to social media through Instagram and Meta and things like that. But Brett has an interesting spin on it. in terms of how that might affect sports betting. So we'll get his thoughts on that. Bediako is appealing again. We'll see if Brett thinks he has any chance there, and we'll get his reaction. I don't think he's been with us since Aguilar got denied the year of eligibility at Tennessee that he was seeking. So that'll be fun with Brett Hastings. And then we'll go to Indianapolis to the scouting combine. Ryan O'Halloran is going to join us around 5:15, 5:20. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll get Ryan's comments. He wrote a great column today about the Jaguars not being there and sort of the reaction from the other executives that are there, and some national reporters as well that have a good relationship with the Jaguars, because it was interesting to kind of hear their perspectives on it. So that'll be fun. Ryan you can read that now at jacksonville.com, but Ryan will join us in a 5 o'clock hour to talk more about that. So we've got a lot of fun stuff to get to. Let's start with Mark Lamping's press conference, and just what was your reaction to what Mark shared with us earlier today?
Well, a couple of things. Obviously, there was shock value among the fan base when the report came out earlier today that it's going to be 2 home games in London in 2026. And originally, when I saw it for like the first 2 to 3 minutes, I thought, wow, what kind of reaction is this going to get? But then if you rewind the clock back to this whole stadium renovation, the initial thought at the time was that Jacksonville was going to have to go 2 years without playing here, 2026 and 2027. And then that morphed into, okay, maybe we can play in 2026 in limited capacity, but we'd still have to be gone in 2027, which is ultimately where it landed. But if you rewind the clock back to the beginning, Jacksonville was likely not going to play here anyway in 2026. They still are going to have 8 home games here in 2026, 2 preseason, 6 regular season. I understand the frustration, but I mentioned this earlier. Talk to people in St. Louis or Oakland or San Diego. Would they like to be complaining today about only 6 home games in limited capacity in 2026 and then playing somewhere else in 2027 to have a cathedral waiting for them in 2028? I bet they would trade with you in a heartbeat. So be upset if you want, but just think about that. The short-term aggravation for the long-term sustainability of the team here in Jacksonville.
There's also a couple things, and again, we'll go into every layer of this as the show progresses, but there's another clear point that fans need to understand. There's 2 different London avenues. There's the Jaguar Wembley Avenue, which is totally Jaguars and the NFL. Like, that's a Jaguars thing. Obviously, they just basically renew it year by year now. And they never really know if the NFL is going to continue to go for it. The Jags run that game. The NFL has nothing to do with that game. At Tottenham, the other international games, the NFL runs those games. They don't run the Jags Wembley game. And so there's that avenue. Then there's the other avenue that Mark hinted at today, which is the NFL as a whole international program that states that every club has to give up a home game every 4 years. Well, that doesn't include the Wembley thing. So there's 2 different kind of avenues here that the Jaguars, navigate. So I did like hearing that because of the NFL's policy, they were going to have to go in 2030 and give up a home game, regardless of the Wembley thing, give up a home game to be in compliance with the NFL's policy that all 32 teams are under, that you have to give up a home game every 4 years internationally. So they were able to take the 2030 game and apply it to the 2026 game, which is awesome. So now in 2030, when they would have had a game, I'm assuming at Tottenham, since that's their rights or sort of in the UK, they would have had a game in 2030 there that now they won't have, which will be great because that'll obviously be the 3rd year of the new stadium renovation. So again, I understand people are frustrated, things like that, but you hit the nail on the head. Be glad you have any football here in 26 because go back through the history of building stadiums, renovating stadiums. What they're doing is incredibly difficult, and that's why they need that window. That's why they need 2 home games in London. Mark laid it out. He's like, we may get behind. We need to be able to work on this stadium for ideally 4 weeks in the season, but at least 2, So he talked about, you can put requests into the league in terms of making the schedule. They've put a request in. They want the bye week after the second London game, which I'd be shocked if they don't get, because the league has always looked favorably at, if you're playing internationally, when do you want your bye? So I would be stunned if they don't get that request. So they want the bye after the second London game, and they also want either a road game prior to the first London game or a road game after the bye week. So if they're able to get that in, again, when you ask the league to go play on the road, they almost always honor that, because obviously most of the requests they get is, hey, we really would love to be home this time. So they're probably going to end up with, we won't know until mid-May when the schedule is released, but they're probably going to end up with a good 4-week stretch where they know they don't have to get ready for a game, and they can get all the construction crew in to either catch up with what they've fallen behind on or work ahead on 20. You're still not going to be here in 27. Like, there's no possible timeline where they're not playing somewhere else in 27. But the key is, stay on task, stay on the right timeline, and this will enable them to do that.
Does it put you at a competitive disadvantage to have 17 games, 6 of which are only in Jacksonville?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Does it put you at a competitive disadvantage in 2027 to have your quote-unquote home games be in Orlando more than likely and maybe 2 or 3 in London? Yeah, it probably does. Should you be upset or frustrated about that? If you're a Jaguar fan, that's your given right to be upset or frustrated. What is the alternative? All right? When you want to be frustrated and you want to, be mad about it, okay, that's fine. Now, after you get mad and shout into the mirror or whatever, what is the alternative? The alternative was the Jaguars were no longer going to be here in Jacksonville. That should end the conversation. All your frustration should go to the wayside at that very moment when you realize if this wasn't happening, the Jaguars were not going to be in Jacksonville any longer. And I've just seen a lot of people complaining on social media, and I get it. People complain just to do it, or some can be legitimately upset, and that's fine. But again, just ask yourself, take a deep breath. What was the alternative to this? And the alternative was the team leaving. And that was worst case scenario that is being avoided by a little bit of short-term aggravation.
Very well said. When we come back on the Frangie Show, let's get it to sports and courts. Brett Hastings is here. Looking forward to getting his insights. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
It's golf's biggest stage this side of the majors, and 1010XL has you inside the ropes.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
Teed up by Surfside Pools, San Jose Collision, and Lucas Tree Service.
Quick question. Is your plumbing company run by plumbers or by people who've never held a wrench? At Holland Sons Plumbing, the owners are plumbers themselves. We're family-owned, veteran-operated, and built by people who understand the work. No corporate nonsense, no boardrooms, no suits. Right now, we're hiring service plumbers and residential new construction plumbers here in Jacksonville. If you want steady work, a team that's got your back, and owners who know the job because they've done it, give Holland Sons a look. Holland Sons Plumbing. Local, family, real.
This is Hayes Carline from my friend Holt at Harrell & Harrell. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harrell & Harrell make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 25th, 1940, the first televised hockey game in the United States aired on W2XBS in New York, featuring the New York Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens. The road to March runs through Jacksonville. The 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament is coming to VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Catch all 24 Division I basketball programs in action March 3rd through 9th. Reserve your seat today at asunsports.org/tickets. Jacksonville is the destination for ASUN basketball. Get your tickets to the 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament today. asunsports.org/tickets. Hey, Jacksonville, David Garrard here. If you want a street-legal golf cart that's built with quality and style, check out Dynamic Drives and Designs in Jacks Beach. They have new, used, and fully customized carts from the top brands like Atlas, Dodge, and Pilot Car. Every cart gets a complete expert inspection, so you know it's ready to hit the road. Their team can help you design the perfect custom cart that fits your style and needs. For your custom golf cart, visit dynamicdrivesdesign.com today and see your perfect ride.
The Players' Championship returns to TPC Sawgrass March 10th through 15th. Experience golf's most iconic stage with enhanced food and beverage offerings, interactive fan attractions, and an atmosphere built for every type of fan. See the best players in the world, including world number 1 Scotty Scheffler, 2025 champion Rory McIlroy, and fan favorite Brooks Koepka take on the legendary Stadium Course and the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
At the First Coast YMCA, there's no place like this place, with programs and experiences that will bring your whole family together. Summer will be here before we know it, and Y Summer Day Camp registration is now open. Visit your local Y to secure your child's spot early for a season full of memories and adventure. Don't delay. Day camps will fill up. There's no place like this place, so visit your local Y to sign up or online at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, company mascot at your service.
There are 2 important steps to installing the perfect garage floor. The 2-stage coating application, sure, but nothing is more important than preparing the floor. Our team uses diamond grinding machines to grind your floors to a smooth, level finish. Only then can we...
Hold on! You grind garage floors with perfectly lovely diamonds?
No, Chester. We grind floors to perfection using the very best ugly diamonds. Too ugly for jewelry, but perfect for the grinding pads we use to prep the surface.
Perfect preparation and application. Now that's a perfect marriage.
Ugly diamonds?
Check. Perfect preparation?
Check. Smooth, gorgeous gleaming floors that really catch your eye? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Now time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank on vacation. He'll be back on Monday, but Brett Hastings is here. Great to see you. How you doing?
Great to see you. I got Hayes, Hacker, Hastings on a hump day.
That's
Heck
right.
yeah.
Triple H.
Tommy House,
yeah.
you know?
Hopefully Triple H doesn't crash through the wall with the sledgehammer. That'd be tough.
Give us the pedigree.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Hacker would just be in awe, right? Like that would be like the dream.
Heck, I'd be in awe if Triple H walked in here. Come on, you kidding me? The cerebral assassin.
That's right.
Brett, let's. You've got a really interesting case. I had not heard about this, and I'll just say in a nutshell what it is, and then please fill in the vast details that I'll leave out. But this is a case involving the social media sites like Meta, Instagram. Are they deliberately trying to get their consumers addicted to their product? Because this is what this plaintiff is alleging, that she's addicted to social media.
Correct.
And that it's ruined her life.
Right. And so it really, yeah, the argument is that, addiction wasn't accidental, that it was engineered, right? That they put these algorithms and these other things into place to be able to exploit that in minors, psychology, and everything else. And, it's a little bit akin, I know we were talking about it off the air, to the tobacco lawsuits, right? And in the tobacco lawsuits, at first blush, everybody said, man, what? Smoking's bad. How is anybody going to be able to bring a lawsuit like that? And those ended up being significant because what they found were corporate documents and other things where the corporations were targeting youth and then essentially engineering, in that case, cigarettes to be even more addictive than what they were and going about targeting it. So, but it's still even amazing that they found that discovery, right? Because those are things that were coming out of the 80s, 90s, or what have you. And so now you've got to think that at least digitally, you would be able to substantiate some of those theories potentially. Which way is all of this going to go? We don't necessarily know, but I really do think it's going to be one of these precedent changers. If they're successful in this lawsuit.
And the reason that we bring it up from a sports standpoint is it leads you down the road of sports betting online.
Absolutely.
So
right.
Enlighten us to that.
Yeah, same thing. Can you sit out, or can they go and build, these algorithms to essentially target these people? Are you trying to get, minors or what have you involved? They shouldn't be legally, right? But we were talking about it. The Hastings boys are all down in Gainesville. Every one of their friends, it's this parlay, that parlay. They're on the phones. And so, it's widespread on college campuses. And then I think, the type of evidence, it would be, to me, a lower threshold to be able to prove a sports betting case than even the social media. But, then it gets into, well, what duty do you have, right? Like a bar owner, they've got to cut somebody off when they're drinking. They can legally have the right to drink, right, with our dram shop laws. But can you also program the algorithms to say, hey, this person's betting too much money? We know what their credit rating is. They're betting constantly. They're doing all the time. Would there be a fiduciary duty, for those companies to quote, cut people off? So I think there's some really novel issues, would come up with that. And I think a lot of people from the outside, right, want to understand just how much do they know? How much could they engineer? What is involved with these algorithms?
First off, good to see you.
Good to see you.
As always. This seems like a case involving social media. This could really open Pandora's box. I mean, if depending on the way this goes, this could be a whole lot of problems for a whole lot of people, depending on how this case is looked at.
Absolutely. And, we always say that, the first day of Florida's law school, they tell you, know thy judge, right? Because that's going to dictate stuff. But I've always said as a trial lawyer, know thy juries, right? And so what do you predominantly have? You're going to have adults and mothers and fathers and everybody else. And I could tell you, me being 54 years old, I've had 5 conversations in the last week with other parents that are like, can we get the phone out of somebody's hand, right? Can we get the iPad away from somebody else, right? And so I don't think that's a hard thing to go and to sell to potential, jurors as it relates to it. So, that's where I think it would be something that, this is going to be expert driven, right? Like they're going to be experts on both sides. And, we're kind of trying to create a new duty. So there's a lot of novel issues. But when you at first blush, even I thought, wow, how are they going to substantiate that? But as I went to understand the case a little bit more, I thought it was compelling. And I agree, Hacker, I think it really could, open Pandora's box.
And localizing it, in terms of the sports betting sites, we saw this here with Amit Patel and the Jaguars, that
Right.
the Jaguars went after their money that Patel stole and then gambled because they felt like the betting website, I can't remember which one
Right.
it was, but that the betting website should have been a little bit more, had guardrails up a little bit more because of the amounts that he was losing.
Absolutely.
And they were enticing him to continue to gamble.
Absolutely. Well, and we see it in all sectors of life, right? Like in our practice, we focus on car accident and trucking accident cases. We see more really bad crashes now. And the reason why are people are paying attention to their phones. And I can tell you more than, 15, 20 years ago when I first started doing this, accidents happen, right? We can understand that. But a lot of times, all of a sudden you go, oh, wait, there's a car in front of me. There are so many crashes now where nobody brakes, where people come in totally, and we've always talked about it. We said, hey, you shouldn't text and drive, right? Well, we know that. But what's happening now is we're watching reels on Instagram. People are, engaging with Facebook, Twitter, like all of these different things. And it's incredibly distracting, but it's incredibly dangerous. And so, I think there probably is a point in time where driving may get safer in 10 years because cars are driving themselves. But I feel like it's going to continue to be more dangerous until that's the case because of the distracted driving, and that's another thing that, a lot of parents and other people, have great concerns for. And even in our practice now, that we can go and believe it or not, you can figure out who is streaming what at what time. There's a lot of digital data that's now available, in car and trucking accidents as a result of it. So that's what I think is going to be super interesting in this case, right? There's going to not only be the corporate emails that go around, but I've got to understand, I believe that there's like engineering and computer programming meetings. And if there's the evidence that they're really like, hey, do X, Y, and Z to cause A, B, and C, then that would be really compelling.
I literally saw it last night on the ride home after Hacker After Dark. I'm in a turn lane in Mandarin, and there was a fender bender that happened right next to me. I heard it because the guy that was behind the person was obviously on their phone, and they weren't paying attention, and what you're talking about with the phone and social media and all that. Another case that seemingly won't go away is Charles Bediako. And for people that I guess have been living under a rock for the last month, this is the Alabama, I'll say man, he's like 23. He applied for the NBA draft, played 2 years at Alabama, applied for the NBA draft, as he is given the right to do, knows there's a drop dead day where he has to take his name out of the draft, chose not to do that, did not get drafted, signed a professional contract with the NBA under the umbrella in the G League, played 2.5 years in the G League, then comes back to Alabama because a Tuscaloosa judge, who also is a donor to the University of Alabama, gave him that restraining order. He played 5 games, including against Florida. We remember Todd Golden had a lot of thoughts about him. Another judge came in because the previous judge had to recuse themselves because they were a donor. Bediako's eligibility was then taken away. He has appealed it. That appeal has since been denied. Now he's appealing the denial. I mean, you got to admire the determination, Brett, at some point. I mean, I don't know if the kid just has that much desire to play or what's going on, but where are we now with that and the newest appeal in the Bediako case?
Right. So he's appealing to the Alabama Supreme Court. And this man, as you called him, I'll call him former NBA player, I don't think really has any opportunity to succeed, on this last bit of appeal. I would think that, somebody had spent a lot of money, right, by way of his NIL contract, any of those types of things. There's been a lot of a financial investment. And at this point, they say, hey, maybe for $15,000 or $20,000 more, we can sort of throw this Hail Mary and let's see what's going to happen. They will get an expedited review because it involves an injunction, but there's still no guarantee that there could even be a review if they could win. And I would say that'd be like 3 to 5% chance, okay, that would even happen within a time that could get him back, on the court, before the NCAA tournament, or anything like that. And the real reason why is there really has to be a significant deviation in what the trial court did, right? Because here he still has his lawsuit. He can still continue on his lawsuit. What they are appealing is saying, hey, this injunction should not have been denied because that is going to cause me not to have the ability, to play. And so it needs to be, figured out quickly. But the standards are that unless there's really something, where the court deviated from the norm or from anything else, they're going to say that the ruling of the trial court was correct. And it's like, really, I don't see that there was anything. I mean, this was very highly, litigated. There was a relatively significant hearing. All of the evidence was taken. These are interesting because you don't have a jury. You try it to the judge. And, as Hacker had said, one judge just gave the temporary injunction, and then the full-blown trial was another judge because the first one, had to be taken out. So I don't really think there's any chance for it. I think this is about financial investment, at this point in time. And, I agree. I think, hey, this Alabama bias in the state of Alabama, but I know Commissioner Sankey doesn't want to see this thing as well. So I think a normal appeal like this most likely is going to fail. I think given those other factors, just really no chance for him.
We'll wrap up with this. Joey Aguilar, the former Tennessee quarterback, was fighting for another year of eligibility. He didn't get it, which I was surprised by. What did you make of that ruling going against Aguilar?
Right. I thought maybe it would be, similar to what had happened in, the Pavia case, but I think he finds himself, in another area like, Bediako. Are you really going to go and appeal this? And more likely than not, the trial court's determination is going to stand up on appeal, as it goes forward. So, it'll be interesting to see.
I think Aguilar just basically was like, okay, and entered the draft.
Right.
I mean, I think he isn't doing anything else. But I
think he's literally at the combine now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he just was like, okay, I'll go pro. But we kind of thought that he might have a pretty good case for it because of the Pavia. If you're going to say 1 year JUCO doesn't count against you, then why would you now say, but you can't, but 2 does? You know what I'm saying? It just seems like.
I think it's also the timing of the other things, right? Is that here you've got to make that, do you want to file through the appeal, ultimately lose the appeal, not get started, in the NFL or whatever? I just think he didn't have the heart to push through it. And really, I think he probably sat down with their whole legal team and said, hey, there's a really small chance that we're going to be successful on appeal. So they kind of walked away from it. And that's why, I think in the Alabama case, they are trying to want to push the envelope, and there's been this other financial investment to see sort of, how it's going to happen, which is, there are a lot of other factors in that case that, I think most people find it repugnant. Average people are like, what do you mean? He played, hearing, it sounded even stupider after hearing what, Hacker had to say when he broke down, all of the stuff and the other portions of the timeline. So, yeah, I'm feel very strongly that that's not going to be. I don't even think the Alabama Supreme Court will in any way hear it. They'll just refuse to hear it, and then that will be where it will die.
Great stuff. Brett, we certainly appreciate it. Great seeing you. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Take care.
All right, when we come back on the Frangie Show, Mark Lamping, the Jaguars president, spoke at length today on a number of topics: the 2026 schedule, the stadium progress, what's going on with the Four Seasons and the Marina. It was really good stuff today. We will get it all to you. We've got clips from Mark Lamping that we will play. We're going to do that next. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Flame Broiler, the Rice Bowl King, is turning up the flavor with new char wings. These wings are charbroiled, never fried, grilled to perfection for a big taste without the grease. Grab them as a 3-piece or 10-piece side, or make it a meal with a 6 or 8-piece combo, served with rice and a drink. Order pickup or delivery today from any of Flame Broiler's 5 Jacksonville locations, or call 904-619-2786. Flame Broiler, bold flavor done right.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. This Saturday is our monthly in-store card show. Join us from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. with over 15 tables of trusted vendors. It'll be primarily sports cards with a mix of Pokemon. Saturday from 9 to 4 at Showtime. Sports cards and collectibles. Update your collection.
Florida's sun and storms means your roof has probably seen better days. If you're wondering about its condition, visit EndlessSummerRoofing.com to schedule a free, no-pressure inspection. Endless Summer Roofing, protecting your home from Florida's endless summers.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
Nate Bargatze.
It's a lot to have 2 dogs because you got to open the back door and let 2 dogs out.
Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. 5-star Veterans Memorial Arena. February 26th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
Bueller.
Stay cooler
with Bueller.
I'm starting to realize being a homeowner isn't all upside, Jason.
I mean, it does give you a place to live.
Yeah, but now suddenly I need to know the names of all the people I need to look after my house.
Like who?
Like if my air conditioner breaks in the middle of the heat wave, I need to know who I call to fix it.
That's me. You know me.
But what if my water heater dies or my toilet backs up?
That would also be me. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
Okay, fine, but what about my duct cleaning and my water filtration and my sewer drain? Where am I going to find all those guys if something goes wrong? I'm just a guy with a house and a dream and...
This pair of sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing is the only name you need to know. Our club members even get 2 free visits a year, so you know we're there when you need us.
Well, that's cool.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, letting you know that Hardball now offers web stores, so your employees can order their own branded gear, and you have more time for Wordle. Check it out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
It's a Nimnick Tuesday on The Frangie Show. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it, too.
Sorry about that.
We certainly appreciate our friends at Coyle & Sons. Not a problem at all. We appreciate our Wednesday sponsor, Coyle & Sons. Brilliant in the game of fencing, so give him a call. Hacker is here. Frank is on vacation. He'll be back Monday. JJ is here. I am Hayes Carline. So Mark Lamping talked earlier today. I thought it was really well done. It was cool. They had a presentation. You can find it on the Jaguar website. They flew a drone yesterday just around the circumference of the stadium from a very high distance. And Mark went through it. So it gives you a really good idea of the progress that is being made. And I will tell you, in terms of looking at it, first off, the concourse, you can already tell that because they've started by the Miller Electric, the media area where we do interviews, Hacker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can already see where the concrete ends. The concourses are going to be like 4 times wider. It's going to be fantastic in terms of getting people in and out. And they've already started removing the seats in the corners because remember, the idea for the stadium is to create that natural breeze coming in at each corner and to provide ventilation. So it really is remarkable. I hadn't been to the stadium since the season-ending press conference, so it'd been like 5 or 6 weeks. And there was, I thought, impressive progress done on the stadium. So that's very exciting. Obviously, Mark talked about the new office building that's right next to the Four Seasons. The Jaguar business operation has moved in there on Monday. The Four Seasons is getting close to being done. The marina behind the Four Seasons and the river walk, Mark said, will be done late summer. So that's not that far away from being completed. So a lot of great stuff happening in that area. But Mark went through, obviously, the meat of the presentation today was about the 2026 schedule and moving forward in terms of the 27 and things like that. And the big news is 2 London home games in 2026. One will be played at Wembley, which is a Jaguars game. The Jaguars control that game. And then the Jaguars will also play at Tottenham, which is an NFL game, and the NFL runs that game. But good trade-off. You play the Tottenham game now in 26 as opposed to having to play it in 2030, where it would have been NFL mandated for the Jaguars. Every team has to play an international game every 4 years. And again, that doesn't factor into the Wembley thing because that's a Jaguars thing. And so anyway, it was interesting having Mark go through it. Before we get to some of these clips from Mark Lamping, what were your big takeaways today?
First off, I always think Mark Lamping does a terrific job in explaining things like this. I thought the press conference today was detailed, was thorough. He answered every question I had, quite frankly. He held court for 50 minutes up there answering every question that you would have about scheduling, progress, all that. A couple of things. They've done a lot of work on the stadium. If you haven't been down there in a while, they've done a lot of work. And yet only 15% of it is complete. There's still 85% to go before we kick things off in there, presumably in August of 2028. I also thought it was interesting they have 550 full-time employees, full-time, working every day. And Mark said that number will continue to grow as the weeks turn into months and the months turn into a year and certainly into 2028 to put the finished product out there. So they're working, they're getting after it, and they know they have a time crunch because 2.5 years might seem like a lot. Think about how long they've been working already, and only 15% of the product is actually finished.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, that's the reason why they need the break this coming season. If they get behind, they need a good 2 to 4 week stretch where they can get in there, not have to worry about a football game being played, and really either catch up if they have fallen behind or work ahead a little bit. So again, there is reasoning for why they are doing this. And again, I think fans at the end of this process are going to be very happy with what they have in terms of the Stadium of the Future in 2028 opening, and then not having the 2030 game that you're going to lose because the NFL mandates that you have to play one of every 4 years you have to give up a home game. So it's great that they're doing that in 26 and not in 30. Let's get to some comments from Mark Lamping. We'll start with Mark was asked, will they get out of the London deal once they have the stadium completed?
We don't have to get out of anything. In fact, our London commitment has been something that's been rolling. It's been renewed year after year. And, there's a lot changing on the international front with the league. There's a lot that's going to be changing here locally. And I think you can expect us to take a close look at, what our London strategy is moving forward. Not to suggest that, we're going to stop playing a game in London, but it is something that we will look very, very, very closely at.
Yeah, and again, there is no long-term deal within the Wembley game. That is just something, I think initially it was a multi-year thing when they started it in 2013, but for a while now it's just been every year, and because again, the Jaguars, there's always the chance the league is just going to stop it one day. So there's never a given that they're definitely playing in Wembley. We know they are in 26, but it's not like they're under contract to play in Wembley for 5 more years or anything like that. So an important distinction there from Mark. Lamping was also asked, the Jaguars can protect 2 games from being sent over to London.
And we can protect 2 games that we will assess which of those games would be best received by our fans to be played here. And, there's also good discussion and probably a better level of communication than we've had since I've been here in terms of what football thinks from a competitive standpoint. They may like a matchup at home.
I thought that was really interesting because Mark went on about the harmonious nature that business and the football operation has now. And it was funny, he even caveated it with, not to disparage anybody that was here before. And then he went on and was like, but it's so much better now in terms of the communication. So I think this will be a Liam Cohen football decision in terms of, Coach, which 2 games do you want to see here in Jacksonville? Which 2 games should we protect? I got to think the Houston Texans is one of those.
Yeah,
2.
I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now. The Texans will be 1, and if I were a betting man, it would either be Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, just from a financial standpoint. Now, but again, you're only going to have 42,000
That's the thing. I don't
people.
think they're as worried about that.
Yeah, so that's a fair point. Maybe it's as simple as they want Houston and Indy here.
That's what I would do.
The 2 big division games. I mean, normally you would want to protect Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, but again, you're only going to have 42,000 regardless of who's coming in.
Yeah, Mark made it very clear. All the games are going to be sold out in 2026, with it only being, I think he put the capacity at like 40,000.
And it's normally at 68. So
Correct.
Every seat in the upper deck, I thought it was interesting. They've already taken the seats out of the upper deck.
Yeah.
Like I was reminiscing. I used to sit in 432, right? I was row W, seats 20 and 21 for a long time. I have no idea where those seats are now because they do not appear to be in the stadium any longer.
Well, maybe they'll auction them off.
Yeah, hey, if row W seats 20 and 21 or 432 or around there, I'd love to get my hands on them.
Absolutely. A couple more from Mark Lamping that we'll play for you. This was Mark talking about the process of choosing where they will play in 2027.
It needs to be first approved by probably 2 ownership committees. Ownership committees convene next week in Palm Beach, Monday and Tuesday. So this matter will probably go in front of 2 committees next week. And then if it comes out of those committees with an affirmative vote, it goes to a vote of all 32 owners. And that process was no different than what we had to go through to get our 30-year lease extension approved. But it looks like we're on that timetable.
I mean, is it the worst secret out there that it's Orlando?
It certainly feels like it's like 95% Orlando.
Right. I mean,
he did also mention Florida Field today.
Yeah, I know people in Orlando. I know you know a lot of people in Orlando. They think it's Orlando.
Yeah, I think it's not a done deal. As Mark said, the league owners have to vote on it at the owners' meetings in Arizona later in March. So we're a month away from it being finalized, but it certainly seems like it's going to be Orlando.
And one of the things Mark mentioned, people talk about Florida Field. The NFL's got some weird guidelines. There's certain distance that the stands need to be away from the field.
The visitors' locker room.
Florida Field is great. It's a college stadium, and there's a lot of thought that it doesn't meet some of the NFL criteria, whereas Orlando, a Camping World Stadium, nice lower bowl. The upper bowl might leave a little bit to be desired, at least the last time I was there. But nevertheless, it's hosted Pro Bowl games. It's NFL ready from that standpoint.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then the final thing I want you to hear from Mark Lamping. Mark was asked if they can play 3 games in London in the 2027 season.
In 2027, our agreement with the city of Jacksonville would allow us to play up to 3. We know we're playing 1 for sure, because that's a resolution game that the league is going to take from us. Okay, and then beyond that, we haven't determined yet. I mean, I would think we would continue our annual game in London, but there's a lot of pieces that need to fall in place for that. Beyond that, one of the reasons we had the ability to go to 3 games was done if there were scheduling issues or something like that.
I'd be stunned if they don't play 3 games in London in 2027.
Yeah, but the problem with that, I agree with you, is it's the outside noise. Like, it already started today. People have no idea that a new stadium's coming here, and they see Jacksonville's playing 2 home games in London, and if they see 3 games over there next year, it's all the nonsense that you and me and everybody listening to us right now will have to deal with outside of Jacksonville about London this and London that, and it's just unfortunate. But again, we just got to get to 2028 and all that'll be over with.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any issues with that, just send them the drone video that they showed us today and imagine the progress that they'll make in another year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very obvious that the stadium of the future is on its way. And to your point, it's 15% done, which is better than 14%.
Done. That's true.
We're slowly getting there. When we come back on the Frangie Show, let's talk about the Gator basketball team. Big game tonight for the Gators as they head to Austin to play the Texas Longhorns, who desperately need this win to solidify their NCAA aspirations. You are listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
Find Florida Gators basketball on 1010XL.
Sevens are wild for the red-hot 7th-ranked Gators as they ride their 7-game win streak into Austin, Florida, Texas. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
Listen to whatever you like, whenever you want.
I like this.
1010XL on demand. Ad-free shows after the live shows end. Channeled by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
Hey friends, Frangie here. A new year is the perfect time to make sure your car is ready for the road ahead. And nothing gives you more confidence than a fresh set of tires from my friends at Big Chief Tire. I've trusted them for years. They take great care of me, and they'll take great care of you. Start 2026 with a smoother, safer ride. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today and let Big Chief get you rolling.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, transponders, and even high-tech smart locks. For honest, professional locksmith service,
Instant Keys comes to you.
Get your tickets for the Tom Coughlin J-Fund Wine Tasting Gala. Join Super Bowl winning coach Tom Coughlin at VyStar Ballpark Thursday, March 5th and raise a glass to help local families tackling childhood cancer. Enjoy hundreds of wines from around the world and food from top local restaurants. Buy tickets and learn more at tcjfund.org/wine. tcjfund.org/wine.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. I'm celebrating a little anniversary this week. 2 years ago, I hit my goal weight with a Waco 180. 40 pounds gone. And now I know it's not 100 plus like Hacker, but 40 was my number. That was the weight holding me back, slowing me down. And the best part? Free maintenance for life. That's the difference. I didn't do it with meds, didn't do it with side effects, didn't rely on a shortcut that I had to stay on forever. I did it with a plan, awesome coaching, and learning how to eat in a way that actually works in real life. Awaken 180 knows you travel, knows you eat out, knows you have cravings. A real-life plan for real-life people. Maybe your number's 25 pounds. Maybe it's 40 like mine. Maybe it's over 100 like Hacker. Whatever your number is, we're proof you can reach it and keep it off without putting something in your body you don't want there. Awaken 180 works. Get your number at awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
It's Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Urology reminds you to stay ahead of prostate, bladder, and kidney health. Get a yearly checkup, ask about a screening, and make self-checks a habit. To make an appointment at one of 4 locations, visit ackermanurology.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it too.
We certainly appreciate our friends at Coyle & Sons. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Hayes Carline here, along with Hacker and JJ. Florida has a huge game tonight, Hacker, and I think the storyline for the Gators is this three-point shooting resurgence. Is it a blip? Or is this a team finally evolving and figuring out how to hit the three a little bit more efficiency with a little bit more efficiency? Again, Florida's been one of the worst teams in Division I basketball all season shooting the three. They've been the worst team among the power conferences. They've been under 30% pretty much all year. We all know the stat. ESPN is throwing it out a bunch. No national champion, and I think it's not even no team has even made the Final Four shooting below 30% from the three-point line. But Florida was 11 of 22 from distance in the win at Ole Miss, and they are now actually above 30% on the season. They're 30.3%. And over the last 10 games, where they've been basically unbeatable, they've only lost one game in that stretch, they've shot 34.3%. So tonight, what are your expectations? Can Florida be decent enough shooting the three to escape Texas with a win?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, but as I said yesterday, I think talent will win out. Florida is certainly more talented than Texas. I have a couple issues with this game from a Gator perspective. Number one, it's a second road game. I hate back-to-back road games, particularly when you go a Saturday trip to Oxford, then you fly back to Gainesville, only to turn right back around on Tuesday and have to fly all the way out to Austin. For SEC standards, those are two pretty far trips. So I don't like that aspect of it. I also don't like that Texas is coming in reeling a little bit. Lenardi in bracketology has them down as a 10. They are dangerously flirting with being on the bubble heading into the SEC tournament in Nashville, so they need a marquee win. So obviously they have tonight circled. I do like the fact that it's a 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Yeah, it's weird. If I'm a Texas fan, I don't like that. That's 6 o'clock out there. Will it be a late arriving crowd to Austin? 6 o'clock local doesn't seem like a great time to tip off a game out there at the University of Texas. Having said all that, that's all the minutia off the court. On the court, I love the way the Gators are playing. And as we talked about yesterday, Hayes, their last 4 road games, they've won by an average of 20 points, which is insane to do in a conference like the SEC. I don't know if they win tonight by 20, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to have more points on the scoreboard than the Texas Longhorns.
It doesn't seem like teams that play the way Texas wants to play beat Florida, because Texas is very much built like Alabama is built. Now, I think Texas's front court is better, but what I mean by that, when you look at the metrics of Texas, if you look at like KenPom, Texas is 32nd overall as a team on KenPom. They're actually 37th in the net rankings that the committee uses, which makes sense why Lenardi would have them as a 10 seed. But what's interesting is the discrepancy. They're 6th rated offensively, so elite. I mean, again, there's 365 Division I college basketball teams.
Yeah.
So they're 6th best offensively. They're 118th defensively. I thought Alabama's defense was grotesquely awful. They're 62nd in KenPom defensively. So this is this is Alabama to the extreme level in terms of how poor they are on the defensive end. Now, again, I don't watch every Texas Longhorns basketball game. Maybe their defense is a little bit like Florida's 3-point shooting. Maybe it has gotten better as the year has progressed, but it doesn't really look like it they just lost to Georgia. Texas had been pretty hot. I think they've won like 4 or 5, but they did lose their last game, and Georgia scored like 91. Now, Georgia's been scoring well this year, but it is a Mike White coach team. So anytime you give up 90 points to a Mike White team, I don't think you're playing much defense. When you look at Florida from a KenPom standpoint, they're 5th overall in terms of team, but much more balanced as a team. They're 16th best offense, 4th best defense. So again, it would seem tonight that Texas will probably hit some incredible shots. We'll probably have moments and we'll probably shoot pretty well, from the field for the game. Probably will shoot over 45%. But if they can't hold Florida to under 56% shooting, they'll have no chance. And so to me, it almost seems like as long as Florida is awake for this game, they should be fine, because we know Florida can play defense. Like, that's going to be there tonight. They're not going to have a bad defensive outing, even against a good offense. But Florida has so many ways they can score. It's just if you don't play defense well, they will have something identified going into the game, and then they will find something else 10 minutes into the game. And my guess is, and Sean Miller is a great coach. He's at Texas now. My guess is Todd Golden offensively will dissect the Texas Longhorns tonight. It might be a fairly close game because Texas has a lot of offensive talent, but I'd be surprised if it's not like, I'll say like 103-90 Florida, something like that. I think very entertaining game, but I would be surprised if Florida loses.
I want to stand corrected on something that I said. Texas, like you mentioned, they lost to Georgia, which is not a terrible loss. I mean, say what you will about Mike White. He's got that team playing pretty well. Before the Georgia game, though, Texas was on a little bit of a roll. Now, they played a bad LSU team, and they won 86-85. I remember watching that game. They won in the last 30 seconds. But they went into Missouri, a place that Florida lost.
Yeah, and Missouri just beat Tennessee last night.
Yeah, and Texas beat the brakes off of Missouri back on Valentine's Day. Texas also has beaten Ole Miss, South Carolina, Oklahoma. But, when you say those teams, Texas has beaten up on the bottom portion of the Southeastern Conference. And when you look at those games, 87 points, 82 points, 80 points, 84 points. To your point, they score a lot, but when they play the better teams in the league, like I'll look at here, they played Vanderbilt. They scored 64.
Oh, wow.
They played Tennessee. They scored 71. Right? You play a Texas A&M team, they scored 70. They score a lot against bad teams, when they play the better teams in the league, which Florida obviously is probably the best right now, they don't have near the offensive success.
Yeah, great points. We both like the Gators tonight. And again, I think very high scoring. I think you're going to see a lot of Florida offensive highlights in this one. I just don't think Texas has any chance of holding Florida to a reasonable number. But we will see. And it's a big game for Florida. Look, Tennessee lost last night. So really now they're eliminated because that's a 5th conference loss for the Vols. So they're out. So it's really now, in terms of teams that might catch Florida, Alabama, who's still at 4 losses, and Arkansas, who's still at 4 losses. Arkansas plays A&M tonight.
Gators have a clinching scenario for a share of the conference tonight. If they win and if those two teams lose, Florida gets at least a share of the regular season.
Yeah, so if Florida can win tonight, they take a massive step towards their 8th SEC regular season title, which would just be a phenomenal accomplishment for Todd Golden coming off a national championship season. When we come back on the Frangie Show, let's get it back to the NFL. We'll get some combine thoughts from Hacker. We'll talk a little bit about the Jaguars as well. We'll do that all up next. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Climb aboard the Jacksonville Sports Radio train.
All aboard!
1010XL.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. So how do you decide? With so many messages on air, I know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. When you've been injured in an accident, you need help from someone you know, someone you can trust. Harrell & Harrell, a name you know, a name you trust. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
Hi, Jacksonville. This is Dr. George Bari, an orthopedic surgeon who is fellowship trained in sports medicine by the Dr. James Andrews. Wintertime is upon us, and you may notice you wake up in the morning with some aches and pains in the shoulders and knees. If this happens to you, don't forget, stay mobile to try to reduce stiffness in your joints. And if that doesn't work, come see me at Bari Orthopedics, where we can treat you with cortisone injections and platelet-rich plasma injections and other non-invasive needs. Visit me at BariOrthopedics.com.
Put a little hot sauce on your lunchtime listening. Spicy. Joe Coward, Matt Hayden, and Leon Searcy. They are XL Prime Time.
4-alarm fire.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios. Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
Bro, have you heard about the hottest and newest sports league in town?
Vanguard Sports League isn't just VIP, it's the standard. Smoke-filled tunnel intros, cool benches with canopies, big scoreboards, championship rings, and convenient locations all across Jacksonville. Oh, and Mascot Potty's there hyping everyone up every game. No wonder it's the talk of the town. Spring and summer registration now open.
Search VanguardSportsLeague.com today.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The riders who face Daytona Supercross are built different. Withstanding the most unforgiving and grueling track is not just a point of pride, but of pure grit and determination. This battle can only be felt in person. Witness the action unfold at the only place in Florida where the biggest names will battle it out under the lights. Daytona Supercross is built different. It's built for champions. It's built for fans. The gate drops Saturday, February 28th. There's only one place to be. Secure your tickets and trackside access at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Hi, it's Tara Lagaman. Jeff and I love Local Fair Jacks for fresh eggs, quality meat, produce. It's all from local farmers. There's no scary recalls, just food you can feel good about feeding your family. Learn more at localfairjacks.com.
The Players' Championship returns to TPC Sawgrass March 10th through 15th. Experience golf's most iconic stage with enhanced food and beverage offerings, interactive fan attractions, and an atmosphere built for every type of fan. See the best players in the world, including world #1 Scotty Scheffler, 2025 champion Rory McIlroy, and fan favorite Brooks Koepka take on the legendary Stadium Course and the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hairforme.com.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Holland Sons and Plumbing. The 7th-ranked Gators are back in action tonight in Austin, Texas, taking on the Texas Longhorns, tipping off at 7 o'clock, airing on 10:10 a.m. The Gators will look to extend their winning streak to 8 games tonight with 4 games left in the regular season, including a top 25 matchup with Arkansas on Sunday. It's 66 degrees at 5 o'clock time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
Back to a Coyle and Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it too.
JJ throwing a little David Bowie at us. I love it. And my favorite Bowie is 1980s Bowie, which is like goes against every rock and roll. Like, that's blasphemy. But I mean, not that it's not great, but obviously he's much more well known for his stuff that came in the 70s and before.
But you're a child of the 80s.
But I'm a child of the 80s. And so you had Modern Love and you had China Girl and you had Let's Dance. And it's just that's the Bowie I grew up on.
I want to give credit to Rick Ballou here because goodness knows I didn't find this out on my own. I saw his tweet earlier. Have you seen the nominees for the rock and roll class of 2026?
I did get a look at that.
Among them, JJ, I don't know if you've seen these or not, the Black Crowes, Phil Collins.
Okay. Phil Collins should be. I mean, I'm sure he's in. He's in for Genesis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this would be him going in as a solo act.
Melissa Etheridge, Lauryn Hill, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden.
Billy Idol should be in.
Yeah, Billy Idol, I would say.
New Edition, Oasis, Shakira, Luther Vandross, the Wu-Tang Clan, and Mariah Carey.
I mean, I love the Wu-Tang Clan. My wife loves Shakira, but they don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they're not rock and roll artists.
That's the thing. It'd be like putting in a basketball player into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Respect his work.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know when it morphed into it's the music Hall of Fame.
I think.
Yeah, it's no good. But anyway, let's get it to the combine. A couple quick thoughts before we bring in Ryan O'Halloran in our next segment. Do you have a position group that you're, from a Jaguars perspective, that you're going to dive into in this week in Indy? Today is the first day the players came through, but drills haven't started yet. But what's kind of, from a Jaguars perspective, what you'll be focusing on?
I think tomorrow, the D linemen and the linebackers. I mean, look, if you lose Devin Lloyd, linebacker to me is certainly a need. It might be a need already. It's definitely going to be a need if you lose Devin Lloyd. And the interior defensive line, maybe some depth along the edge. I guess it really depends. Obviously, you know what you have with Hines Allen and Trayvon. I guess it really depends on what the Jaguars believe they have in the B.J. Greens of the world, the Danny Strigaus of the world. Can you re-sign Dennis Gardeck? So the edge, maybe not as much, but certainly the interior D-line, the big uglies, and then the linebackers, which I believe those positions are on the field tomorrow. They're first out of the gate. So I'm going to certainly give those two positions a watch.
They have 11 picks, so this is a question more for the final day of the draft. But would you like to see them take a swing at a quarterback?
Yeah, I saw one mock draft earlier that had, I think, Cade Klubnik in the 7th round, something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, look, if Trevor Lawrence goes down, it's not going to matter who you have. The season's basically over, but you can say that for almost every NFL team because I've seen some speculation. Would the Jaguars be interested in Will Levis because, A, his relationship with Liam Cohen from their days at Kentucky, and if he's an upgrade over Nick Mullins. if Nick Mullins or Will Levis or whoever they draft in the 4th or 5th round are starting more than 2 games at quarterback in 2026, the season is over anyway. So I don't know how much you want to invest in a quarterback, but to bring somebody in on the practice squad in round 6 or round 7, I wouldn't be totally opposed to that.
Yeah, I kind of hope they do. Just because, I mean, Nick Mullins is fine, but, you know, I mean, I think you could go cheaper, and they are at a point where, look, any million you can save is pivotal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're not in trouble, but they don't have oodles of cap space. So, you know, I kind of hope they do. Again, we're talking 6th, 7th round. It's not obviously a great quarterback class, but it is got a lot of guys in it. So it, you know, and I really wouldn't even have a problem with it if Levis got cut. I wouldn't give Tennessee anything for him.
A can of Spam and some Vienna sausage.
Yeah, exactly. But but if they released him, you know, because of his connection with Cohen, you know, I mean, obviously he's a great athlete. We know that. And so that'd be interesting. But yeah, I that'd be something I'd be looking at, is a quarterback that catches your eye, and maybe somebody that they could draft in the 6th, 7th round on that final day, particularly if they keep all 11 picks.
Does Carter Bradley fit in at all into the roster?
So.
Because he was around a lot on the practice squad, and I don't know how that's going to translate once you get into OTAs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's just it's hard to know for sure because I don't think anybody really. I mean, somebody asked Liam about or Campanile about Carter Bradley like emulating Josh Allen in practice late in the season, but we never really got any sense of how they feel about Carter Bradley. But I'd be surprised. But I mean, he's back. I think they've re-signed him to a futures or something like that. So I mean, I think he is in the building. But I would like to see a draft pick and see if you get lucky. You know, maybe it's somebody that you can trade down the road, you know, for a really good return. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see what Gladstone, Cohen, and Baselli elect to do at the position behind Trevor Lawrence. Again, we know Trevor Lawrence is locked in as the starter. He's an MVP finalist, so it's more about how cheap can you build the room behind him to save some money. And certainly, if it was a 6th, 7th round pick that made the 53 and you trusted to be the backup, I mean, you're talking about a cap number that's like $500,000 next year at that position.
Right.
Nick Mullins makes like $3-4 million.
Yeah, you would save a lot of money. And the Cade Klubnik thing was interesting. Obviously, Clemson, Trevor being at Clemson. So that's why I took notice of it. Again, mock drafts, this time of year in particular, you're throwing stuff against the wall. Right. As you get deeper into it in March and early April, they become a little more reliable. But with the Jaguars, I mean, without a first-round pick, you're really throwing stuff against the wall when you do a mock draft.
Without a doubt. When we come back, let's go to Indianapolis. We'll hear from Ryan O'Halloran, columnist of the Florida Times-Union. Ryan's been up in Indy the last few days. We will get his insights from the NFL Scouting Combine. You are listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
The game's best golfers and one of the most beautiful courses in the world. Catch live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates from the players. Capped by Corona, Campione Law, and TopDressing.com on 1010XL.
Fall in love with a new Chevy at Nimnick Chevrolet. Now, right now, you can save up to 20% off a new Silverado or get financing rates as low as 1.9%. Now, unlike most dealerships, Nimnick Chevrolet is the largest inventory on the ground, ready for you to explore. With their extensive selection, you're sure to find the perfect truck or SUV at Nimnick. Remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar for your trade. So you want an even better deal? Ask about their demo models for deeper discounts. Plus, the best prices of the year are here. Look, you don't want to miss this. Shop online 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com or go ahead and visit the dealership. It's conveniently located at the corner of Park Street and Cassett Avenue. Get over there. You'll be awfully glad you did. So who's got more new vehicles at the best prices? Nobody but Nimnick. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
From the tee to the green and everywhere in between. Join Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros for Brunch with the Tour. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation, Tuesday morning at 8:30 on Jacksonville's Golf Station, 1010XL.
Frangie here. Bono's Pit Barbecue has been serving up legendary barbecue on the First Coast for over 75 years, and right now, Bono's has a smoking deal for you. For just $12.49, you'll get Bono's signature pulled pork sandwich, a side, and a drink. But hurry, Duval. This pig deal is for a limited time only. With 18 Bonos around town, there's always one near you. And if you want the best catering, call 904-332-RIBS. That's 904-332-7427. Or online at bonosbarbecue.com. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
When you're injured, you need more than legal advice. You need someone who truly cares. I'm Chris Campione, and at Campione Law, I take pride in what we do. You're never just another case. We take the time to listen, guide you through the process, and fight for your recovery every step of the way. And remember, you pay nothing unless we win. Zip, nada, nothing. Learn more at CampioneLaw.com. Offices, Jacksonville and St. Augustine.
Count on Campione, Campione Law.
Get a healthy start in 2026. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to help you get healthy and stay healthy all year long. Our dedicated team is committed to providing high-quality care and trusted public health services for our community. Our mission is simple: to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Learn more about our programs and services by visiting duval.floridahealth.gov.
Looking to elevate your game night experience? Look no further than Best Bet. We're not just a card room, we're your destination for excitement, fun, and big wins. Whether you're a seasoned player or new to the game, we have something for everyone. Join us at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, or St. Augustine for thrilling tournaments, exciting promotions, and a vibrant atmosphere that will take your game night to the next level. Elevate your game night at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Frangie here, and Big Chief Tire makes it easier than ever to get the tires you need with the Big Chief credit card. No annual fee, low monthly payments, and great promotional financing. Plus, you get free flat repairs and rotations, and right now, $50 off your first purchase when you sign up. I love how simple they make everything. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com to apply for the credit card and get the tires you need today. That's Big Chief Tire.
Tusk, the classic tribute to Fleetwood Mac. Friday, March 6th at Florida Theater. Playing the hits and deep cuts of Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Fleetwood Mac. An unforgettable show with the iconic music you love. On sale now at floridatheater.com. Don't miss Tusk. Recreating the Fleetwood Mac experience like no other. 1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank on vacation this week, but he'll be back on Monday. Hacker kind enough to join us once again, which we certainly appreciate. JJ is here. I am Hayes Carline, and we are pleased to be joined with Ryan O'Halloran, frequent guest of 1010XL now, and we're certainly glad to have him. Ryan, so you joined us Monday, which we certainly appreciated. We just did Duval Rundown about 2 hours ago, so fans can go check that out. And now we get the pleasure of getting your insights again. How is this afternoon in Indianapolis treating you, sir?
Well, I can guarantee nothing happened in the last 2 hours except the big guy took a nap.
Got to recharge
yeah.
up there, man.
Well, everything at the combine's super early. It's like starts at like 8 a.m.
Yeah, and so that means I was up at 6 to write my column for tomorrow's paper, had a 7 o'clock breakfast, 8 o'clock players until noon, and then wrote, and then going to have dinner tonight for getting cracking. And, you know, one thing I just found from a local angle is Jack Pyburn, the Bulls product, who started at Florida, went to LSU. I visited with him today. That may be online later this week, but it was good catching up with him. Things didn't go great for him with the Gators, but he, like a lot of ex-Gators, he's thrived elsewhere.
Where do you think he goes? Is there any buzz on? Is Pyburn like a third, fourth round guy?
I mean, I'd say at the ceiling, you know, he says he's going to play about 265, and one thing he said teams have talked to him this week about is strong side defensive end in a 4-3 or an outside linebacker in a 3-4. So it'd be interesting. His sack numbers would suggest more of a strong side defensive end because he can play the run, but I think he has some early day 3 value.
Interesting. I wanted to start with asking you about a column that you published on Jacksonville.com yesterday in regards to the Jaguars not being at the combine. You got the insights from a lot of executives on winning clubs, talked to some national reporters as well about it. What was the vibe? Because you laid it out perfectly in your column. You've been walking around Indianapolis for 3 days and haven't seen anybody with a Jaguars logo on.
Yeah, and that 24 hours later, that search continues. So that is interesting. I asked a couple people about it, not so much from a Jaguars perspective, but from just, hey, in general, why is this event important to you guys? And, a couple anecdotes. Nick Casario from the Texans, he's leaving Friday. Him and D'Amico Ryans say, okay, we'll watch the workouts on TV. This is not about being here for the workouts. But these teams value the interaction, the interviews, and they feel confident that if they talk to a player 3, 4, 5 times, they will get a good sketch of what this player's character, football IQ is about, and see if it matches the fit, the production, et cetera. So a lot of teams are here, feel it's beneficial. The Jaguars are meeting with players, just their assistant coaches and their top brass are not present for those.
Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times Union. Ryan, quickly, to your knowledge, is it just Jacksonville and I guess the Rams? Are they the only 2 teams that didn't send the GM or the head coach?
Yeah, that's my knowledge, Hacker. And New Orleans Saints, they are here. They just never acknowledge anybody. So I was able to confirm they're all here. I'm not sure about every head coach, but 27 executives talked yesterday, a couple more today. So so they are following the Rams model. It worked for the Rams after they won a Super Bowl. That's when they stopped coming, and that's one thing Sean McVay said at the time. He said, "Hey, we finished the season 2 weeks ago. I got to give my staff a vacation." And that's why they didn't come. They felt like that was the right move for them. So. And it was the talk of the combine yesterday.
Ryan, with free agency 12 days away, in fact, 2 weeks from today, you can officially sign contracts as the new league calendar year starts. And with the knowledge the Jaguars have impending free agency for Devin Lloyd, Greg Newsome, Monteric Brown, Wingard, Gardeck, Smoot, all the defensive guys that are going to hit free agency, it would appear that it's going to be a pretty defensive-heavy draft for the Jaguars. How would you assess the defensive talent in this year's draft class?
Well, a lot of edge guys. So if you want one of them, you have to take one. You're going to get one first couple rounds. Defensive tackles is more run stoppers than pass rushers, which doesn't really help the Jaguars a lot because I think, are going to be prioritizing big guys who can rush the passer. Off-ball linebackers, you hear a mixed bag. Corners, heard today maybe round 2 and 3 is a sweet spot for the corners, which helps the Jaguars. So, it's not a flashy draft because of the quarterback stuff, but I think on defense they are going to be some very good players drafted on night 2, which is when the Jaguars are really going to be in the wheelhouse when they have 1 second and 3/3. But Hacker, I'm glad you mentioned a couple of those free agents. I think it would behoove the Jaguars to get Buster Brown and Dennis Gardeck done before they hit the market. I think they were 2 valuable players for this team last year, and if you can re-sign them, that opens you up to being more versatile and taking some other swings at other spots.
Yeah, without a doubt, I would echo that. I think getting Brown and Gardeck done prior to March 11th would make a ton of sense. Ryan, we always hear about rule changes, rule proposals at the combine. It doesn't look like there's much with the tush push. It looks like that's sort of dead and buried now and will just stay in as a play. But were there any teams that suggested rule proposals, anything like that caught your eye?
This has been and Rich McKay said this on Sunday, this has been the most nondescript competition committee that I remember. I mean, they've sort of got the kickoff figured out. They're trying to, the concussion rate was a little higher than expected on kickoffs, but they also had 1,000 more kickoffs. So, but the tush push, that hasn't been brought up at all. You're going to get into the replay assist on the penalty stuff. That's really getting in the weeds. I think that'll be talked about more at the league meeting next month in Arizona. But overall, usually at this time of year, when these coaches are at the podium at the combine, you are asking them, hey, there's some chatter about this rule. Well, there hasn't been any of that this year.
That's interesting. The Rams are putting forward something, but it's very in the weeds. It's basically the occurrence of what cost them in the playoff game against the Seahawks, correct, on the advancement of the fumble on the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, and that's probably the most succinct way to explain it. Well, since the Rams proposed it, we sure as hell know how the Jaguars are going to vote, don't we?
I'll type that up for you, Mr. Sneed. As we get kind of moving beyond, what's in store for tomorrow? Who's working out tomorrow at the combine?
Workouts. We get some of the defensive, the defensive linemen a little bit. And real quick on the linemen guys, these edge guys are really light. I mean, 230, 225. I don't know how that translates to the NFL. They're going to have to add some weight, I think. But the other thing today, guys, some of these defensive tackles were big fellas. And so I can see why they're able to stop the run. But they just probably haven't been asked to do a lot in the passing game. In terms of the interviews tomorrow, you continue with the defense, with the defensive backs, and then more linebackers. So, so defense, offense is usually how it goes at the combine.
Ryan, you've been to a million scouting combines, obviously, up there in Indianapolis. So give us a lay of the land when the workouts begin tomorrow. I mean, we're going to turn on NFL Network, and we're going to watch 40-yard dashes, right, and maybe an occasional 3-cone drill. But what is the morning like for these guys, the progression throughout the day? How many stations do they have to go to? Kind of take us through that.
Yeah, I mean, today was a big day for guys who are working out tomorrow because they did the medicals, and so that's a long day at the hospital for these guys with the MRIs and whatnot. And the funniest part, and I wish I could paint a picture a little bit better, but this is a billion-dollar industry. Yet in the halls of the convention center on carpeted floors, you have players taping out 10-yard increments because that's how they practice their 40s. Wow. They're practicing their 40s in hallways of the convention center. Saw guys doing it today when I was walking out. And in terms of the workouts, you got your 40s, you got your jumps. Where I really like watching is the agility drills for every position. How do they change directions? Do the bag drills? How do they do the up downs where you start from your belly and get up and then backpedal? So, I mean, to me, the drills are like almost secondary. I'll record them and watch them this weekend and just rip through them because you can get some background info. But the interview stuff at night is really really important for what the teams are doing.
What'd you make of Mark Lamping's presentation today?
I mean, I'll say this about Mark. He comes in prepared. I mean, that transcript that I read was 17 pages sent out by the Jaguars, so it was pretty thorough. But I just go back to, 2 games in London and then also the opportunity to maybe play 3 over there in 2027. It's for a Jaguars fan, it's short-term disappointment for long-term excitement. And you knew these next 2 years were going to be, difficult in terms of being able to watch your team play in person. But the payoff is going to be in a couple of years when they get that stadium done, and it's going to be an incredible fan experience to watch pro football in Jacksonville for the rest of our lifetime.
And to that point, Ryan, and I'm sure where you are, you're around league personnel, so maybe it's not being blown up. I've seen people outside of Jacksonville, particularly on social media, giving Jacksonville the business for playing 2 games in London. It's as if these people have absolutely no idea that the stadium is being built here with a 30-year lease. Well, has there been any reaction up there to the Jaguars playing maybe as many as 5 games over in London over the next 2 seasons?
No, Hacker, but there is this. A lot of people think it's a brand new stadium. And I say, well, it's on the same footprint. And I think why, and they don't, then I have to explain to them, well, in 2027, they're not playing there at all. Well, because they haven't had the vote yet. It's like they're just waiting for the last minute. And I would anticipate that happens next month where they officially rubber stamp Orlando. But because that has not been announced yet, there is, you're having to answer questions. Okay, they're going to play in a reduced capacity stadium for 2 years. Well, no, they're not. They're just going to play in Orlando for a year. And then also the London stuff. I mean, since they played 2 games over there in 2023, that's not so much of a talking point. But but I think it makes sense, and it makes sense for what they're doing, because you got to replace that revenue.
Ryan, we'll get you out of here with this question. If you had to guess today, and assuming the Jaguars do not move up in the draft, what position do they take with the second round pick?
I think they take an off-ball linebacker who can play 75% of the snaps right away, because I do think they'll try and get an edge in free agency. So I'll go with a linebacker, because they need to start thinking about Foye's future and playing, maybe somebody who could play 100% of the snaps beyond this year. So that's what I would go. But I think it's going to be defense, because out of necessity, and also that's the strength of this draft.
Great stuff, Ryan. We certainly appreciate it. And again, give fans an idea what's coming up on Jacksonville.com.
Well, a couple things up already. We mentioned the importance that teams put on the interviews here. Other thing is, I asked multiple GMs who interviewed Grant Udinsky and Anthony Campanile what kind of impressions they made in those interview settings. All very positive. And then, so those are the two stories that are online right now and will be in tomorrow's print edition.
Great stuff, Ryan. Thank you so much. Be safe getting home.
All right, fellas. Take care now.
All right, great stuff there from Ryan O'Halloran. Again, you can read his work at Jacksonville.com and follow him at Ryan O'Halloran. When we come back on the Frangie Show, let's give you our thoughts about the Combine, positions that we think the Jaguars should address in that second, third round window. We will do that next. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
What's the deal with the show? The 1010XL Podcast Network is now available just about everywhere you find podcasts.
I think the show's going to be a huge hit.
Search for your favorite 1010XL podcast in your platform of choice.
This is Hayes Carline from my friend Holt at Harold and Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold and Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
Frank Frangie here for my friend and insurance agent Craig Dewhurst. Craig has been helping families on the First Coast with their insurance needs for 25 years as your good neighbor and local State Farm agent. Now's a great time to review your insurance policies, whether you need auto, homeowners, or renter's insurance, or insurance for your golf cart, boat, or jet skis. Craig handles all of my family's insurance needs, and even better, he gives back to the community. Call Craig today at 904-940-9740. That's 904-940-9740.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. Went smooth as silk, was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Our son Eric's a Division I collegiate baseball pitcher who is having shoulder pain. We took him to Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and are confident that he's now on the road to recovery. This is Beth Anderson, and we love the care Eric receives at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and if you think Closets by Design is just closets, you've got to see their brand new showroom at Phillips & Emerson. It's amazing what they can do. See for yourself how they custom design organization for any space. Garages, laundry rooms, bedrooms, even the man cave. It's all about smart storage that fits your lifestyle and budget. Schedule an appointment to meet with a design consultant and tour the showroom for ideas you can see and touch. Start at closetsbydesign.com.
Former Jags middle linebacker Tom McManus brings some grit to the ladies of helmets and heels.
You do it as tough as it is possible to do.
Tommy, Lauren, and Taylor.
Backed by Green Law Group. Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Create a backyard your family will love. Jack's Outdoor Solutions, an authorized dealer of Celebrity Greens, installs PGA quality artificial turf golf greens and complete outdoor spaces. From turf to custom hardscapes, landscaping, and lighting, every project is built for style, durability, and family fun. Locally owned and trusted across Northeast Florida, customers rave about their results. Check their 5-star reviews on Google. Plan your dream backyard today at jacksoutdoorsolutions.com.
Nate Bargatze.
It's a lot to have two dogs because you got to open the back door and let two dogs out.
Big Dumb Eyes Jaguars World Tour. 5-star Veterans Memorial Arena, February 26th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more. Let Loan Pronto tap the equity on your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Prosser here. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto in a matter of days. They had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact, didn't even need an appraisal, and with all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com. The Rapid Equity Loan Program can get you $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it. Consolidated all their high-interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine, pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier. Get your life back. Interest rates are at 3-year lows. Call Loan Pronto today, 904-999-1500. That's 904-999-1500. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Yeah, today's golden moment, Ryan O'Halloran, I thought, really was some fantastic insights in our last segment, joining us live from the Combine in Indianapolis. I thought it was interesting, put him on the spot a little bit with, who do you think will be the first player selected by the Jaguars in terms of position, assuming they don't move up. And he said, with that second-round pick, he thought off-ball linebacker, which was a little bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, look, they're probably going to lose Devin Lloyd in free agency, and Foyer's not getting any younger. Now, the question is, how do you feel about Ventrell Miller? How do you feel about Jack Kaiser? And I guess to a lesser extent, how do you feel about Branson Combs? They obviously like Branson Combs because he was an undrafted guy that they put on the practice squad and elevated him to the 53-man roster. So you certainly don't want to forget him in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, if you lose Devin Lloyd, you're going to have to draft a linebacker, and you got to start preparing anyway for Foyer's departure in the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's certainly an argument for it. But I will almost be stunned. Again, assuming somebody doesn't just plummet, and you're talking about somebody that, we thought might go first round that's still somehow on the board at, 54, right?
56.
56.
Yeah.
And so in looking at it, I would think at 56, it's almost got to be a defensive tackle or a corner if the value is there.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think we're both on the defensive side of the ball. Are you best player available defensively at 56? If it's you got a linebacker that's an 89, you have a defensive tackle that's an 87, and you have a corner that's an 86, you might have a bigger need maybe at defensive tackle, but you got needs all over the defense. I almost wonder with Gladstone if it's best player available if they're a defensive guy.
Yeah, it's a great point. I just don't see what the plan is at defensive tackle if you don't take one. To me, it would almost be like that's what I would do again. And I think somebody's going to be there that warrants the pick because they've got nothing in terms of interior pass rush at defensive tackle moving forward long term. Eric Armstead's got at best one more year here. At best, one more year.
If he has one more year.
If he has one more year.
Yeah.
Mason Smith has done nothing. So you can't just assume that in year 3 he's going to figure it out. He has been more of a liability out there than he's been an asset. That's just how it is. Hopefully he gets better, but that's the evaluation you have to make on seeing him for 2 years, and there's really no one else on the roster. Devon Hamilton is a elite run-stuffing nose tackle. Mm-hmm. And so when we say defensive tackle, I'm not talking about Devon Hamilton. I'm talking about somebody that can provide interior pass rush. It's non-existent, in my opinion, going into this season. So if you neglect it, now I get it. They've got 3 selections in the 3rd round. But, man, I would not want to take somebody that is not a defensive tackle, then watch 4 of those guys come off the board before I'm back up on the clock.
They re-signed Matt Dickerson, who's a veteran piece. But, yeah, I agree with you. They have needs at defensive tackle. That's why I mentioned that earlier, that I want to look at those guys tomorrow. Although, based on what Ryan said, he says a lot of the defensive tackles are kind of the Devon Hamilton types, right, the run stuffers, as you alluded to. Let me ask you this. Just play along with me here. How far would Caleb Banks have to fall before you would entertain the idea of using some of your draft capital to go up to get him?
What would you guess, 40?
That would be my guess. If he gets, 38, 39, 40, would you at least start making some calls saying, all right, we'll give you 56 and 81? I don't know what it would cost you.
Yeah.
Maybe it might cost you 56, 81, and
I would think
100.
that would get it done. If you threw a third-round pick to move up half the second round, I would think that would make sense.
And I don't know if Caleb Banks will fall that far. What I've been told, and again, it's so early in the process, people love Caleb Banks, but the injury problems are scaring people about Caleb Banks. He has missed a lot of time.
He has missed a lot of time, and again, that's where, what would be the medical evaluation that Dr. Kaplan would have on Caleb Banks. But assuming, to your hypothetical to extend it out, if Jaguars medical clears Caleb Banks and says he's at no further risk of injury than any other defensive tackle in this draft, yes, he has been hurt, but he's fully healed, and there's nothing to suggest this will be an ongoing issue. And he got to 40. I don't think he will. I think he's probably more likely to go in like the 20s than even the 30s. But if he was there at 40, yeah, I think you start, if you could add a player because he's exactly what they need. I mean, if what he was in college translates to what he becomes in the NFL, he's a good pass rusher from the inside. And so, yeah, if they could make that jump, then I think it absolutely would be worth it, because you just don't find those guys. There's never, ever going to be a free agent defensive tackle that gets sacks. It doesn't, they don't get to the market. So your only hope is to find them in the draft. And I think you can find linebackers. I think you can even find corners to a lesser level. But boy, finding defensive tackles that can provide that inside rush, I just think it's particularly in their situation, you've got to attack that.
Let me keep it local. I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have one of the third-round picks, usually 81 or 88. They also have 100. So they have 4 picks in the top 100. But one of the third-rounders, I've seen Darrell Jackson from Florida State linked to the Jaguars in quite a few mock drafts. Does Darrell Jackson do anything for you in, say, round number 3?
They couldn't possibly draft a defensive tackle and me be upset with the pick. I mean, I just think it's that big of a need. So, yeah, and look, Darrell Jackson, he probably got terrible coaching at Florida State. I mean, they don't get anything right. And so
tell us how you really feel about that.
Well, they don't. I mean, but I don't. Wouldn't you? I'd say the same thing about Florida. Look, Austin Barber and Caleb Banks and a Gator that's in this draft, they probably have more upside than somebody that was coached at Ohio State or Alabama or certainly Georgia or even Indiana now. Those guys probably don't have as much upside because they were well coached in college.
No, I think that's fair.
So it's been drawn out of them. Whereas if you were playing for Mike Norvell or Billy Napier, you've probably just scratched the surface because you were being coached by an incompetent moron.
Well, yeah, based on win-loss wise, both guys, one guy is still there because they couldn't afford to fire him. The other guy has
they're not even doing
James
a booster
Madison.
Tour with Mike Norvell,
Of course
which is
not,
hilarious.
because nobody would show up anyway.
I mean, exactly.
Why on earth would you go to a booster tour when you don't even want the guy there in the first place?
Throw tomatoes.
First off, who's the one that tells Norvell that? That's got to be a hard conversation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mike, we need to meet. And not that I'm sure he looks forward to the booster tour, but what a blow to your ego when your employer tells you our fans are so livid
it will be
that
unsafe.
you're still the coach
It will be unsafe
that we can't
to bring
possibly
you.
put you in front of our biggest supporters.
No. The 17 people that would show up in Alachua County to see you come talk Florida State spring football with them. That's not going to happen this year.
Not going to happen. And I mean, look, it was the same thing with Napier last year. There was a little bit of confidence. I was fooled. I thought maybe they turned the corner, and I bought in, and I was a sucker, and I was completely wrong. But there still wasn't a lot of excitement for Florida fans to go get Billy Napier's thoughts on the booster circuit last year.
No.
But with Norvell, it's even worse because there's no hope there. At least with Florida, you had the hope that DJ Lagway might be a star. Like, there's nobody on Florida State's roster that I think scares anybody in the ACC, let alone around the nation.
Well, I mean, I was talking about this on Hacker After Dark 2 weeks ago. I mean, all the talk about Florida and what John Summerall has done in the portal. You obviously had Miami play for a national championship, and they just got a really good quarterback in Mensa. there's been little to no conversation over the last 3 months about anything going on in Tallahassee, unless you are a diehard bleed garnet and gold message board Twitter person. We have gotten very little information about anything going on over there, so it's going to be interesting.
Just that they're really broke.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about like on the field, roster-wise. Quickly, it's a little bit away from college, but I want to get this out there. In the AFC South, cuts are starting to come in. The Titans are moving on from Lloyd Cushenberry.
Wow.
Their starting center. They gave him a 4-year, $50 million deal before the 2024 season. So he was there 2 years. Boy, what a bad contract that is. They've moved on from Lloyd Cushenberry.
That was the same Calvin Ridley offseason.
Yeah. And they've also cut
surprisingly,
safety,
that GM got fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that Rand Carthon?
Yeah, that was Rand Carthon.
And Xavier Woods also let go by the Titans. So the cuts are starting to come in.
Interesting. Great stuff. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we will wrap it up and we will hand it off to Rick Ballou. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The NASCAR Cup Series will be racing at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, Sunday, one of 5 road course events on the 2026 calendar, a circuit that features 20 turns and elevation changes. Shane Van Gisbergen, who won 4 road course events last season, is the betting favorite at plus 115. Connor Zilich at plus 410. Christopher Bell, the race's defending champion, he's at plus 1100. William Byron plus 1200. Tyler Reddick, who's won the first 2 races of the season, is plus 1600 to win in Austin, and Chase Elliott is at plus 2,000.
Progressive helping veterans drive their lives forward. More info, keysofprogress.com.
I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Hey, Scarline here for Atlantic Infinity. I am loving my new QX60. It is amazing. It is so phenomenal. I am in love with it. Right now, you can lease one or lock in just 1.9% financing for 60 months. And every new Infinity comes with the Atlantic Infinity Promise. That's over $7,000 in added value. That's one of many reasons why I bought mine there. No pressure, no games, just a great experience. Do what I did. Make your next ride an Infinity from Atlantic Infinity. Visit AtlanticInfinity.com or visit the showroom near Atlantic in St. John's Bluff.
If you or someone you know are having a special day soon, perhaps the birth of a baby or a big birthday for a senior citizen, Kuhn Flowers will send the perfect arrangement. JJ LaSelva here with 1010XL, and I've personally experienced the magic of a Kuhn Flowers delivery. Log on or call KuhnFlowers.com.
When you're hungry, go big, and more importantly, go to Dailies, where they got anything and everything to tantalize your taste buds and fill you up. At Dailies, our barbecue beef brisket sandwich is slow smoked to perfection, tender, juicy, and full of bold flavor. It's the kind of sandwich that truly satisfies. Try the barbecue brisket sandwich at Dailies. Meanwhile, some favorites never go out of style. The Duval sub at Dailies is stacked, loaded, and made with the bold flavor you want in every bite. Fresh ingredients, big taste. It's a local favorite. Grab the Duval sub today at Dailies. Or maybe you just want a delicious chicken sandwich. Some choices just work. The chicken sandwich at Dailies is crispy on the outside, it's juicy on the inside, and it is full of flavor. Perfect for lunch, perfect for dinner, perfect anytime hunger hits. So grab the chicken sandwich today at Dailies. Dailies is made fresh, it's made local, and Dailies is built for big appetites. I'll see you there today.
Be the first to discover the best new home community in beautiful Green Cove Springs. Highland Trail, where the rhythm of life slows down. Enjoy green spaces, luxury pools, pickleball courts, winding trails, and more at livehighlandtrail.com. Choose from 3 premium builders, just starting in the 300s.
Oh, at Highland Trail.
Instant Keys is turning 25.
A quarter-century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For honest, professional locksmith service, use Instant Keys.
The Players' Championship returns to TPC Sawgrass March 10th through 15th. Experience golf's most iconic stage with enhanced food and beverage offerings, interactive fan attractions, and an atmosphere built for every type of fan. See the best players in the world, including world #1 Scotty Scheffler, 2025 champion Rory McIlroy, and fan favorite Brooks Koepka take on the legendary Stadium Course and the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
This is Frangie for the farm in Okefenokee. Can you imagine owning a handcrafted cabin tucked into a 1,000-acre regenerative farm? Imagine enjoying fresh produce from the garden, fruit from the orchard, meats from the smokehouse. Every meal is a true farm-to-table experience all year long. Belong to a place where your family can choose nature over screens, spending their days feeding animals, picking berries, and fishing in the farm's pond. Learn more at okefarm.com. That's okefarm.com.
Ticket here for Action Garage Door. Nothing more frustrating than your garage door misfiring. When it does, I call Action Garage Door. They take action. Jeff and Art and crew, Jacksonville folks, not some big out-of-town chain. Something goes wrong with your garage door, take action. Check them out. Garage Door 911, garagedoor911.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Rick Ballou is here. Great to see you.
Hey.
It's been an exciting combine so far. What's been some of the storylines that have caught your attention from Indianapolis?
I'm interested in this Burks kid who they interviewed. 6'9", 330 pounds out of Memphis, I guess. Play both right and left tackle. Obviously a project when you're that big and the level of competition. Unless you're playing Florida State, Memphis will go into Tallahassee and kick the living snot out of FSU. But, you know, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in the ditch. My blood boils when I read mock draft after mock draft, and I read another one today, safety with their first pick, corner. No. They need an interior defensive lineman or move Trayvon Walker inside, get an edge. This is a very strong defensive pass rush edge class. Then go back to the well and go to the offensive line. You've got your quarterback. You got skill position guys. You scored 27.9 points a game, but still Trevor Lawrence spent a lot of time running and on his back. You have to address the offensive line. So as far as I'm concerned, it's right there in the ditch. Get a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman with your 56th pick and your first pick in the third round.
Rick, we got to go quick. I was talking to Hayes about this earlier. I've seen Darrell Jackson from Florida State linked to Jacksonville a lot in round 3. Would you like that?
Maryland, Miami, a waiver wire situation where he sat out a year as a transfer and just really never caught my attention at Florida State. I think he's better against the run than he is a pass rusher. He took on some double teams and tried to, free things up for the linebackers, although they were playing usually 8, 9, 10 yards off the ball, which is a hell of a defensive scheme. I don't think Darrell Jackson is a guy that is going to go Thursday or Friday, okay? I think he's a Saturday pick. I think you can get him in the late rounds, maybe in the maybe in round 5, round 6. He's free-falling a little bit. We'll see. And again, that is not a good – one thing that could help him is, unlike defensive ends, as you guys know, it's a weak defensive tackle class.
Yeah, all that in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you got it.
Up.
It's coming up tonight.
All right, sounds great. We'll be listening. We are out of time. Hacker, give us a quick what's coming up on Hacker After Dark.
Yeah, JP Shadrick will join us tonight. Also, Zig Fracassi of SiriusXM NFL Radio. So, yeah, we'll be with you 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Hayes.
All right, that's going to do it for us, for the vacationing Frangie, for Hacker, for JJ. I'm Hayes Carline. Thanks so much for listening. Into the Night with Rick Ballou is up next. You're listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio.